About 10 months ago, I taught my girlfriend how to play Valorant. She became so good at the game that I actually decided to marry her. Sorry, had to say it. Since then, she has become addicted and plays almost every night. So the question is, did she get better in those 10 months? Let's take a look at a little before and after so you can see for yourself. Now, when it comes to improving in a game like Valorant, there are optimal and suboptimal ways to do it. It may depend on how much time you dedicate to playing and learning the game. Over the course of Grecia's journey with Valorant, she played mostly for fun with myself and some friends. She felt content with natural improvement just by playing the game with minimal coaching from me. The goal of this video is to show that while minimal coaching, no outside training, and only playing to improve are fine, there are more optimal ways to do it if that's your goal. Just playing the game to improve will usually take much longer than focused practice and a proactive approach. That's why this channel exists. So don't forget to subscribe if you're someone that's looking to improve. That being said, I'm chill and let's get into it. Here's some quick progress into her background so far. When she first started, she placed Iron 3. 5 acts later, and she recently peaked Gold 1 with a current rating of Silver 3. She mostly uses Deathmatch and Swift Play to warm up for competitive, which she often solo queues. I have seen this improvement firsthand and noticed her progress in 3 areas: overall aim, game sense, and ability usage. That being said, let's take a look at her warm-up routine. Grecia usually keeps her warm-up to a maximum of 5 to 10 minutes in the range, utilizing normal practice bots, eliminate 50, and medium bots until she feels ready for DM. Compared to her tutorial, this is obviously a night and day difference. Alright, let's see how she does in a DM. In Grecia's old DM warm-up, she initially only used the Odin, but has now switched to the Vandal as she learned more about the weapons. Her recoil control, movement, and crosshair placement have noticeably improved over the 10 months she's played. As I said earlier, the coaching was minimal, but if I noticed an issue, such as peeking enemies with her abilities out, I would suggest a correction and she would try to internalize it for future games.
So I'm gonna play a competitive game by myself. I'm solo queuing and I have been very consistent. I play almost every night. Literally, I'm addicted to Valorant. So yeah, we're gonna try to do a competitive. I'm gonna solo queue. Let's pray for good teammates, good communications. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Let's see if I improved or if I still suck.
All right, let's do it. All right, Sage is pretty good.
All right, to-do list. Got an Omen versus Smokes. I got walls and heals and rests and slows. I need to pop off for Chill Mickelson's video.
You and a few tons of dynamite.
The first suggestion I would make is her pistol round buy. Due to how the flow of the economy works, you always want to spend as much of your credits as possible on pistol because there's really no downside. You'll be able to afford a full buy third round if you lose first and save second, or for second if you win the first round. Regardless, always spend your money on pistol round. Maybe Gracie was just feeling confident with what she had here. This pistol round was one of the best I've seen from her for a few reasons. She got the opening pick, but unfortunately the rest of the team was scared to move up, so she was on an island for most of the early A hit. In this situation, it's just better to rotate with your team and stay alive for the next fight on C. They should have rushed A after the initial pick, but hey, sometimes your teammates have other plans. Even though the round is lost, Gracie gets a couple picks, including this nasty sheriff shot on the Sage. Crosshair placement and game sense have definitely improved since last time. Next round, they were on economic disadvantage, so staying together and waiting for an opening pick to eventually explode onto a site is normally how you want to play these rounds. Luckily, that's exactly what happened, as Reyna got a little overzealous, pushing into their spawn. This allows her team to contest C with equal numbers. Gracia moves up to the safe plant corner and gets a nice classic right click on Brim while her teammates fight, eventually putting them in a 2v2. Gracia gets a bit disconnected from Omen, resulting in a difficult 1v1 that was lost. Even though they lost, this was a great eco round. Losing rounds where you're saving money while the other team buys can still be considered good if you take out the majority of the enemy team. Damaging their economy so they can't full buy next round is usually your goal in these situations. On the first full buy round, the attackers get a great opening pick, however they quickly realize the defenders are heavily stacked towards A. In this situation, canceling the A hit and rotating through breakable door to B or all the way to C should have been the call, considering how many were there. It's hard to read in the moment sometimes, and at the lower elos you tend to brute force your way through rounds, but as you get better, it's important to recognize how free the other sites were in situations where the enemies over-rotate. On round 5, Grecia decided to pop her ult early to look for a pick. The Raze gets tagged close by and she pops ult. I would rather her and the Reyna fight this race together straight up instead of ulting for 2 reasons. 1, the Raze is very close, which makes the ult more difficult to hit, and 2, ulting this close is risky because the Raze could have peeked at any time during the cast. I didn't mind it as much because the Reyna was close by, but Sova's ults are usually reserved for helping the team take a site or post plant. The next issue with this round was how disconnected the attack was. Each player seemed to be doing their own thing, and Omen even ulted with a spike into the defender's spawn, which is mathematically the worst possible way you can use his ult. Luckily, they got some picks and took B site. The next issue here is Grecia's positioning as she holds this angle. Due to angle advantage, Grecia will be seen by the Reyna first because of the distance she's standing from the wall. She is also holding her crosshair a bit too close to the wall. You normally want to hold a wider angle here because it will be much harder to react to a player swinging out, as demonstrated by the Reyna.
Oh, shit.
Tap the tap.
Player standing.
No. Nice try.
Let's take a look at one more round before we switch to defense. Round 12 starts out by looking a bit like a default, but with some glaring problems. 1, no one is watching for the mid lurk. 2, the C players are moving up through mound without smoking A main to take space. And 3, no one communicated that they were defaulting in the first place and what the default should consist of. Having some kind of plan of attack is better than having no plan and winging it. Sometimes you need to take over that role even if it feels uncomfortable to do so. This will also help you think about the game more and understand what you need to do on specific rounds. It's no easy task, but it's a skill that will only benefit you to develop. The first few rounds were uneventful, so we'll move on to round 15. Grecia makes 2 noteworthy plays here, one good and one not so good. Let's start with the latter. When starting the retake, she wants to use her last shock dart to deal some early damage, making the retake easier. Although her intentions are good, the shock dart hits the close left wall and almost damages a teammate instead. When using abilities through smokes, you should do one of 3 things to make it more reliable. Use the edge of the wall as a guide, ping the spot on the minimap where you want to aim your utility, or use the minimap to see where your player icon is facing and aim with it instead. Now for the good thing. Although it's not recommended to peek with abilities out, it works in this situation to reveal the last 2 attackers. To do this safely, she could have faced the back wall and single bounced it to avoid exposing herself. After revealing the attacker, she silently moves up to surprise the Brim and knows that Sage went back sight, so she trains her crosshair towards that area and finishes Sage off. Overall, not a bad retake. On round 18, we find ourselves in another C retake position. Grecia correctly uses a drone to get information on attackers, which helps her teammates begin the retake. When she pushes into the smoke to help, the enemy Raze pushes in at the same time, and she loses the gunfight. This is unlucky, but there is one thing that she could have done better: communication.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is just make sure you comment how much damage you did to her.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
But
I know.
I know it's frustrating to die like that, but
Oh
the
my God.
first thing is
Yeah.
like, where are they? How much damage?
I know. I
Any
was trying
other
to remember.
information?
It's because every time the map is like all over the place, and I don't know
Go
how to
see.
ping. I know.
There's a couple things I'll point out in round 20 that I think are important to know. This may seem obvious or intuitive to someone who's played the game a lot, but sometimes it's easy to tunnel vision on the enemies and try to get kills. Grecia quick peeks a couple shock darts and then tries to finish the Sage off after the slow went down. In most situations, you never want to peek into an angle that has been slowed. You become extremely immobile, and that's the easiest way to get killed. Grecia even realizes this right after she gets the lucky recoil kill on Sage.
Oh, that was so bad.
In this situation, it's not the end of the world since it ended up being a 4v1, but definitely not the best way to peek. Other than that, it was a decent Lotus game and she got the dub.
I did.
Here are some of the takeaways that Grecia can work on, and you can implement them too if you find yourself making similar mistakes. Overall, I think she needs more practice with fundamentals. This includes things like gunfight mechanics, for her specifically ADSing less in close range fights, movement mechanics, and crosshair placement. Another is peeking with abilities out. She needs to find more ways to peek without overly exposing herself, because at higher ranks, you will die more often doing this. Another is communication and strat calling. At lower elos, if anyone calls a strat, it increases the the odds of winning the round significantly. Even if your teammates don't respond or don't want to communicate, it's still good to give them some sense of direction. The last thing she can work on is when she dies, she needs to call out the enemy position, how much damage they took, and other useful info. On attack, the first note is having a proper buy on pistol round. Also making sure we spend all or most of our credits to help the team take sites with info gathering abilities. The next note is on post plant positioning. She tends to stand in positions exposed to multiple angles and needs to group up with a teammate if possible. Last is ult usage. She should focus on using her ult to help attackers take sites or to delay the defuse in post plant. Another great time to use this ult is to break Killjoy's lockdown. On defense, we want to use the minimap to spot enemies. Using the minimap anytime she's not in danger of seeing the enemy can give her a lot of useful information. Using the minimap can also help her use shock darts more effectively. Next, she wants to have a bit more urgency when retaking. Playing 2 reserved will give attackers more time to position themselves or flank. There is a lot of information to digest here, so it's best to prioritize what she struggles with most. I'd recommend picking a couple of things to work on at a time to prevent feeling overwhelmed. A great way to see how to play your agent of choice optimally is by watching a pro. For Grecia the Sova main, I'd have her watch a VOD of someone like G2 Shazam or 100 Thieves Derek to better grasp how these agents are played. Overall, I'm glad Gracie's getting more serious about improving in Valorant, and I can't wait to see how much she grows in the next installment of I Teach My Wife Valorant. Maybe she'll be an even higher rank than me next time. So stay subscribed so you don't miss out on the next one. Comment below what you learned from this video and let me know what you want to see next. Like the video if you enjoyed your stay and check out some of my other guides here next. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.